It is a beautiful day today. It wasn't though. This morning it was pouring, pouring, pouring. Now it's 53 sunny. We love that in April in Boston, you know? Anywho, I still haven't done the Nats recap, so I should do that. But I had this thought that I wanted to come on and share. I am going to do a vlog going into Worlds. A couple of people asked me that. I appreciate that, by the way, that anyone even asked me that. I know these things are crazy, but it's just a peek into daily life, and it's never going to be perfect, and neither is life, anyone's life, my life. So I'm okay with that, but I will likely be sharing more about the ins and the outs of how my days are put together, and less training, straight up training footage, especially top end going into Worlds, just because the more you know. Anywho, why do I say anywho so much? I was thinking, I don't know why I had this thought. I do know why. I got an email from an RD who I worked with when I was, no joke, 23, right out of college. I was getting into Ironmans, and I wanted to make sure that I had my nutrition under control because I knew how important it was even then, and I thought I should be smaller because if you are doing endurance sports, if you're a runner, especially at this time, being small was such a huge thing and a huge benefit, and you would be so much faster if you were smaller. Meanwhile, girl wasn't that big. Girl was probably 135. Yes, higher body fat percentage than I am now in terms of I didn't carry as much muscle at that weight, and I'm only 5'2". So she prescribed me to eat, I am not kidding, about 1,300 calories. It stuck with me to this day for a couple of reasons. At the time, it was a lot of money for me to invest in a registered dietitian, no less. I was coaching myself. So it was a lot of money for me at 23 to invest in someone to help me in this area. I had some basic knowledge, some background knowledge, because I did go to school for exercise science. So I did have nutrition classes within college that I really liked and enjoyed, but I thought I should reach out to a professional. I never, I was lucky in the sense that I really didn't have any, which is amazing. And I really thank sports for this. Periods of disordered eating and eating disorders when I was younger, even though I grew up in the 90s and the 2000s where they were rampant and huge. And I really do think and thank sports for that, partially because I was active and I think that I could eat a lot for my size. So I didn't necessarily run into it. And secondarily, because I loved playing sports and I knew I had to fuel my body in order to do the best that I could. And that was kind of drilled into us a bit, especially in college. I do think in college, I did go through a phase where first semester I did not play soccer and I ran, and I purposely was trying to be smaller. And this was kind of the start of it, especially fast forwarding into the 1,300 calories thing. And I definitely developed some patterns of disordered eating. I was never too light for my body weight, for my height, if you will, but developed some patterns of disordered eating. It was definitely the smallest that I'd ever been. So fast forward to, I'm out of college. I hire a registered dietitian. She prescribes me to eat 1,300 calories while I'm training for an Ironman. Okay. Also keep this in mind. And I am 23. Which is one thing because I reported to her, what I was eating, that I wanted to lose weight. So this is what she prescribed to me. And the biggest issue to me is perhaps that she prescribed me 1,300 calories, but that she didn't dig any deeper in the fact that I was a 23-year-old young woman wanting to lose weight and probably reporting eating 1,600 to 1,700 calories, because I'll probably look back at my fitness pal and prove that to be accurate on the days that I was tracking. So she didn't dig deeper in, well, Are there days where you don't necessarily track? Are there things you're not necessarily tracking? Is there more information here to be had before I prescribe you in a deficit of based off of what you are reporting? And you try to go swim, bike, run 140 miles. Obviously there was. And working with this registered dietitian, I am someone that is going to do what I am told. So I did follow the guidance and the meal plan for a while. And then obviously you cannot support your body when you're trying to do such an endurance event with 1,300 calories, never mind anything else. You can't even support your body just laying around at 1,300 calories but that's besides the point. So it ended up to me overeating and binge eating, which I would say is a habit that I developed prior. Anyways, that wasn't dug into and even just asked the simple question of, is there more to this than what you are reporting? Why I am bringing this up right now is for a few reasons. The first is what brought this to the forefront of my mind is that I received an email because I'm still on her marketing list. I should probably unsubscribe from her. The second is I competed at nationals. Obviously, at this point, it was about a week and a half ago. And I usually give myself grace of about a week where usually longer, but this is a quick turnaround. So I can only give myself about a grace of a week in eating. And it's funny because in my day-to-day life, I would say that I have such a good grasp of nutrition, what my body needs, and allowing myself also to eat the things that I want to eat as well without falling into the binge and restrict behaviors that I definitely had in my early 20s. Hugely. Honestly, probably until my late 20s. I truly feel that I have overcome that. But it's funny, after me, it's like this past week, I've just eaten whatever I wanted. And when I say half-heartedly, kidding and half not kidding to Kelly, whenever I get close to a meet, and I'm the closest that I'll ever sit to 63, that I want to go 69. I've done this the last 2 meets, and then I happen to have my best cuts and meets at 63. And I understand the pattern, and I will tell you the pattern, but this is not what this is primarily about. It's that I woke up this morning and I weighed myself after eating whatever I wanted, and it was a lot. And obviously it's foods that I don't typically eat. And what I mean by that is I'm also retaining a lot of water because I am so uncomfortable. Like, every movement is uncomfortable. My joints hurt type of deal. I'm getting older and I don't, my sleep quality, shit. It's amazing how much nutrition can play into that. And as you get older, that only plays more of a factor. But I weighed 68 this morning when I woke up. And when I tell you, if I was truly going to fill at 69, I would have to eat so much. And I wouldn't want to do it in the way that I'm eating this past week, which is my biggest fear because I would be able to. And then I'm like, have I actually gotten over this nutrition issue? Or is it just because I have the ability when I know I need to sit at a certain body weight, and my eating has to be somewhat controlled in the sense that I can't just eat whatever I want or as much as I want. I can eat plentiful. Or is it just like that? Is it because of that? Like, if I did go 69 someday, would I be able to do it without feeling like shit? I think I'd get over it. Cause like, honestly, it's been a week and I'm over it. Physically, I don't like feeling like I feel right now. So I'm completely over it. So I'm sure I would find that happy medium and a way to do it without feeling so shitty. Anyways, that was a long ramble on nutrition in the past and the present. So we're about 8.5 weeks out. There are some huge common trends for me after Sheffield, and I mean, heck, after World, after Sheffield, but really after Sheffield and after nationals that I just competed in which I felt the strongest under the barbell. And really, honestly, I've been doing my own nutrition now for a bit, and the best that I ever felt was when Kelly, unfortunately, made me compete at 63 and do a cut when I went to Australia because she had no trust I could do it myself, even though I'd been doing it myself for years. I'm just kidding. Love you, Kelly. So I did it, and obviously I showed up to, it was a few weeks, 3-4 weeks after the nationals that year in the US. So I was sitting heavier anyways, and then I flew to Australia and retained so much water. So I was sitting heavier, and I realized that I actually felt the best under the barbell at that meet. So for Sheffield and for nationals, I decided to sit a bit heavier than I typically would going into the meets, and ironically, my weight pretty much matched up perfectly for Sheffield and for nationals. And I was sitting more 65, 66 than like 64, 65, so a whole other kilo. And it made my weigh-ins a bit towards the top end of 63, but still allowed me to get in calories and hydration before I weighed in. They were afternoon weigh-ins, so I find that more helpful, which is important. And I also am sitting at a body weight that I still don't need to use any terms of passive water cutting. Like, I don't need to do a hot bath or sauna or anything like that. It can all be achieved with a gut cut and a really small water load. I did ask in my stories a few weeks ago who to guess the top end of my body weight before I weighed in at Sheffield, and I wanted to share that along with nationals, which I didn't know at that time, but it ended up being the exact same, which is absolutely nuts, especially because I thought I kind of screwed up my intake in nationals this year, which I think I did, but it's just crazy that it was the exact same. I think I screwed up my water intake that last day because I was handling one of my athletes, and I just forgot how much water I actually had versus didn't have. And then I found a whole gallon the next day. So, like, yes, I was refilling, and yes, I had more than just what I brought with me, but I also did not definitely drink the amount that I typically would drink the day prior, but it all worked out. So anywho, my top end weight was 148.5 both times, which is about, I'll do the math, but it's like probably 67.5 the night before I competed. Now remember, I did have an afternoon weigh-in, so I stopped my water drinking before bed, say around 8 p.m. They were a little bit different because I did line up the timing the same, and the weigh-ins were separated by a few hours. But I lined up the timing the same, and then when I woke up the next day, I was just about at weight, a little bit over, but again, still had hours to go. So I did eat and drink before I weighed in. In those scenarios, what I will do is when I know I'm going to be at weight, the rate that I lose weight, I will eat and drink to make sure I don't fall too far under. And what I will prioritize is carbs and getting in electrolytes. So I usually will make like a shot, say like 100 grams of water with, I have a carb and electrolyte mix that actually I used to use when I was doing Ironman and competing in or endurance events, essentially, that I can get in like 100, 200 carbs and electrolytes in 100 milliliters. And it is the strongest 100 milliliter shot that I've ever taken, but it's very effective. And then I will also eat light carb heavy things. So depending on what I have is what I will eat. This time I had a Rice Krispie treat, I had crackers, and I had some peanut butter jelly like on my crackers. At Sheffield, I'll have to go back. I definitely did the same thing with the water, the carb electrolyte drink, but I forget what I actually ate that morning. For some reason, I feel like I had a bagel or something with jam, but or white bread with jam. I'll have to go back and look. Either way, very similar idea, trying to get in as many carbs as I can. Sometimes I'll add some peanut butter too, so that I'm a little bit, have a little bit of sustenance in me going into weigh-ins, which is pretty cool. But I've really dialed that in, and it makes such a difference for me. Now remember, I've been competing for like 7, 8, 9 years. I don't know, somewhere in that range. And I refined this time over time, and I've never truly felt poor under the barbell, except for in Sweden. I felt very poor under the barbell. And there were so many mistakes that I made that we're not going to rehash. But that was the only time I felt poor. But year over year, I've refined this. And yes, there was a growing period into 63, especially after I had the twins in terms of regaining muscle. But I'm just getting to the point where it's not only do I not feel poor, I feel good under the barbell, and it's taken so much refinement. So all of this 15-minute message is really to say that even when you get your cut down and you're weighing in well and you feel good, then work on refining it so that you feel great under the barbell and that you look sturdy under the barbell. I had an athlete compete, the one I was actually handling the day before. She's similar. She's been competing for a very long time. She competes and cuts into 57. And she cuts so well. It's very consistent. She always makes weight, always at the top end, which is what we want when someone's cutting, and does well. However, this was the first, there was one other time, but it's a local meet, and that makes things a lot easier. This was the first national meet where I was like, you look sturdy under the barbell. Like, you look full, you look good, you look like you feel good under the barbell. And it's from that refinement. It's not that the macro things aren't working well, but once you have that down, then refine the process. So now when I go and compete at Worlds, I'm looking at lining everything up in the days leading up to Worlds in terms of weight and nutrition to be as similar as I can. So that means hitting similar carbs. The protein stays the same, but hitting similar carbs, calories, and having my weight track the same, because it's going to make it so much more predictable when I'm under the barbell. Conveniently for me, and this is something you cannot plan at all, this is the first year this has ever happened, but my period lines up pretty much the same spot every single meet this year, which is insane. I haven't looked at World Games, but my period is incredibly regular. I'm not on like hormonal birth control or anything, so it's just very regular, and I find that a great tracker in terms of general health when you are a female competing in weight class sport anyways. But it makes it predictable and very nice for competing. Yes, there's some variance, but it makes it super nice. So, like variance of like a day or two, nothing crazy. But there was a whole entire year where that day or two fell on meet day, and it was like, because my typical tendencies is right before I get my period, my strength top end just takes a little bit of a hit, which doesn't matter except on meet day, and it is what it is. But anywho, I'm finally getting to the point the year where it just works out, where meets are falling similar spot every single time, and we love it. Also makes weight more predictable, and we like that too. So I hope you enjoyed this 20-minute talk about nutrition habits, my thought process, why would anyone ever prescribe 1,300 calories? Drive me bananas. Refining your process. And that's all. Bye. So this is week 1, day 1 SBD for the Worlds block. Super excited about it. Nothing that crazy happens week 1, and that doesn't really matter if it's a meet or not a meet. This is a very typical week 1. RPs are super low, 4 or 5 type deal. Just basically moving, grooving, setting up the weeks to come. I think this is the biggest lesson as I've gone along that I've got better at, that it's not about your week 1, it's not about your week 2, heck, it's not even about your week 3. It's really building and seeing the pacing that allows you to consistently hit well on week 4, or to consistently hit well on whatever your last week of the block is, and therefore be able to translate that to the platform. So here we go. So I just finished like my off the bar warm up, about 11 minutes. I'm gonna get on the bar. I'm thinking this workout's gonna take me like about an hour and a half from here. So we'll see if I keep moving and see what week 1 gives us, you know? Oh, so it's Wednesday. I switched my primary day to Wednesday because that's when I'll think I'll compete at least at Worlds. Who knows? There's so many nominations this year. I'm curious if they're gonna change the schedule. I hope not. I hope if they need to, they'll listen to the General Assembly. So, anywho, primary day is that Wednesday, and I haven't quite figured out, like, what I'm gonna do with that. So, anyways, this week I'm doing it in the morning. Eventually, I'll probably switch it to the afternoon so I can go to Titan and train with friends. But I haven't figured that out yet because there's logistical things like, you know, my children that I have to figure out. So here we are, 7 a.m. Wednesday, primary week 1.
Give it an hour and a half. Let's go. Can we also not give Brittany so lucky another shout for this? I mean, come on, girl. This is a real one. Shows up to Sheffield with this in hand. That's a real one. Just finished squats. It took about 40 minutes from start to end of squats. We didn't have a whole lot going on. 2 singles and a 3x2. So not a whole lot. Now we're gonna start bench. Start around track. Slow though, real slow. Just finished benching. Bench took me about, well, I had to go grab deadlift socks too and stuff, but bench took me about 20, 30 minutes. Not bad. I have the most bench volume on this day out of everything. I have singles and then I have like 5 sets of bench. So all together, if you count the singles, it's like 8 sets, just so it takes a little while because obviously you have to rest. I don't really rest when I warm up that much between sets of bench. Uh-oh. Do my socks smell like cough drops, or did Harry eat cough drops while I was gone? Time will tell, I guess, right? It smells like a cough drop, though. I think it's my sock. That's okay. It was packed in my bag with cough drops. Anywho, off to deadlift. Just finished deadlifts. Total time, hour 43. Time from barbell, hour 32. So pretty much dead on with what I thought. Deadlifts, super shitty. Super shitty deadlifts. Like I deadlifted the 150. And I have lower back, sacrum, fatigue issues. And once it's there, I can't do shit. It's like my squats are so slow. I can squat, like I can move the weight, but it's slow. Because I think it's because I don't want to get out of position. Because if I get out of position, I feel like I'll annoy my back. And deadlifts, I have really hard time breaking the floor, like really, really hard time. So I can even break like 170, which is like super annoying because I got the meet feeling so good. And then when I restarted, we're trying to shift my schedule, and I did day 1 twice in a row instead of doing my like SBD and then my day 1, which means I RDL'd twice in a row, which is like really dumb for me because I can barely even handle RDLing in general. It's just frustrating because like you have so much momentum and then something dumb happens and then you go back and then you go forward and then you go back. Like this isn't a big deal because it's happened all the time and I know it usually takes about a week and then I'm fine. It's just like so annoying. Anyway, so that's where we're at. First SBD of World. Woohoo. Done, dusted. Week 1 done. It's just annoying because I feel really strong, you know what I mean? Like it's not a strength thing. So, whatever, just wait it out and see what happens.